Hey, my name's Steven, coming at you from Florida.
Hello, y'all. This is Kevin coming from Texas.
My name's David. I'm coming from the heartland, Ohio.
And welcome to the Brothers Born
Podcast.
And we're excited to talk to you.
Yes, we are.
Hey, welcome back to the Brothers Born Podcast.
Welcome.
Good to be back. We're running things a little slow at the beginning of this new year, but we promise it's going to get exciting. Today, we have a topic in mind, but I thought, it's a new year, new us. Why don't we just take a minute and just talk about something nerdy or dorky that we've each been up to this week? So I'll go first. What am I nerding out about this week? Well, I started watching WandaVision on Disney+. Have either of you watched this?
I'm finishing The
No, not yet.
Mandalorian.
It's on my list, though.
Couple more episodes of The Mandalorian, and then I'm going to go to WandaVision after that.
It's weird. I didn't think Marvel could do a sitcom, but they did. It's kind of trippy, honestly, but I think it's been really fun. I'm excited to see where it goes. It's definitely a different medium for the Marvel universe. They've not done anything like this before. Like the first episode, sort of in like this black and white TV show, and it's like old. Kind of reminds me of the old Andy Griffith Show or some old school sitcom. Yeah, that kind of thing.
So, my question is, does it take place in her mind? Does it take place before Infinity War, and it actually is taking place? Like, do you know what's going on with her? Or is she just imagining it because she misses him? Like, what's the deal with it? When does it take place?
So, like, as of right now, I've only watched the first two episodes. The third one came out last night. I'm going to watch it tonight probably. But as of right now, you don't really know.
That's what I thought. I read about that.
It's up in the air right now, but it's definitely interesting. I think it's quite fun. I mean, it's real campy, but I think it's intentionally that way, So I'm excited to see what you guys think about it.
I'll get to it. Miles is the only one I can get to watch those things with me. So we're doing Mandalorian right now, and then we're going to do that next.
Good.
I don't know if he'll like it.
Speaking of WandaVision, I haven't watched it yet. Definitely it's on my list. But as you guys know, I decided I was going to watch all the MCU movies in chronological order.
That's a good thing to do.
And
I approve.
I just finished it last night with Endgame. So that's a big part of what I've been up to the past week.
Wow,
so.
You did that quick, boy.
When I have free time. It hasn't been in 1 week. It's been over time. But because I don't really actually get a lot of free time. Most of my time spent studying.
Yeah. So that's what you've been nerding out about, just kind of watching all the MCU again.
Yeah.
So
I was up like pretty late. So
what's your new favorite after watching all of them?
My favorite Avenger or my favorite movie?
Favorite of the movies. So we already had an Avengers discussion, episode 1. Check it out.
Obviously, it's one of the Captain Americas, but which one is it?
It's still Ant-Man.
Okay.
The first one or the second one?
First one, I guess.
Okay. That's a good movie. A good heist movie.
I still Black Panther, I still have an affinity to, especially now that Chadwick's dead, I think. But
yeah. What have you been nerding out about, Dave?
Well, see, my nerding out doesn't happen a lot, just here and there when I can, but there's two things I discovered this week. I'm sure you've seen some of them, and it's just been a quick fix for me, but have you guys seen the Bernie Sanders memes?
No.
With him in his mittens?
At
the inauguration, he has these huge mittens on and this big coat, and he just looks really out of place. And they've been doing these memes where they're photoshopping him into all these different ones. Like I've seen him on the bench with Forrest Gump. I've seen him in the ship with Han Solo and Chewbacca. Like he's everywhere. I've seen him on the scene of Friends. It's just pretty hilarious. Like Oberlin even did one where it was the Fev, the Fev, right?
Yeah.
And it had the front of the Fev, and it showed Bernie Sanders in there sitting with his mittens, and it said on top, "Bern wants you to know that the Fev is up and open, ready for your business."
That's awesome.
These Bernie Sanders memes, you got to check them out. And then
I've seen it.
And the other thing is, for some reason, there's this sea shanties are a big thing right now on TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but you can see some of the videos on YouTube where this one Scottish guy just started singing some sea shanties, and then it caught on. Like people would put harmonies with it and like different instruments with it, and they actually put a dance mix to one of them. So I've been watching those because they're pretty funny. So you should go onto YouTube and look up sea shanties, and it's pretty good. Those are the two things I've been nerding about this week.
That sounds fun. Sea shanties. Those are some sweet music
I'll
right
send
there.
you I'll send you the one that is my favorite after the podcast is over.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
You should check it out.
So yeah, well, I just thought it'd be kind of fun to see what each of us are up to. But now we can dive into our main topic. Last time we had a guest, Dawson, and he came. We finished up our discussion about villains that were actually good guys, and today we're gonna go around and talk about some of the best villains that are out there, whether it's in books, video games, movies, whatever you think. What are some of your favorite villains? Kevin, why don't you start us off?
So it's kind of hard because there's, as you guys know, I'm that guy who always roots for the villains instead of the heroes. I would have to say one of my favorites is probably Megatron. Yeah, from Transformers.
Megatron's pretty cool.
Uncultured.
The one,
Yeah, no.
My favorite thing about Megatron is the original, how he just turned into a gun, but then someone had to shoot him. I thought that was a little bit pointless, but because couldn't he just shoot his gun when he wasn't transformed?
That shows how powerful of a leader he was, because he
trusted.
He's like
pull my trigger, Starscream.
Yeah, like he's like this little thing. They could have crushed him. They could have stepped on him and broke his gun, but he's like, nope. They obeyed him anyway, even though he was little.
Well, he wasn't little when he was robot form. Just when
That's
he was
true.
gun. Kind of like the original Soundwave too. Like he wasn't little when he was robot form.
Yeah.
But they have updated a little bit the most recent. The more recent Transformers variations. There's so many. I think Transformers has been redone over and over and over and over again. But he turns into a tank most of the time. Speaking of, if you haven't seen it, there's a Transformers shows on Netflix, War of Cybertron. It's amazing. It's one of the coolest Transformers media I've seen. So yeah, you definitely got to check that out. But Megatron's awesome, man. And one of my favorite things about Megatron is, like I said, I like the villains, and Megatron's one of the few exceptions where the villain actually wins at some point.
Yeah.
So, because he killed Optimus Prime, which to me was one of the most glorious moments in cinematic history.
To me, it was one of my most tragic childhood memories.
He turns all gray and starts to decay and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Because even though it was cool that the bad guys won in that, you have to admit, Kevin, Optimus Prime is cooler than Hot Rod, which became Rod.
No doubt.
Sometimes when the villain wins, like halfway through the movie, and then a new hero comes along, you're like, all right, I can get on board with this guy. But I couldn't really do that with Hot Rod compared to Optimus Prime.
This is not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Of course, Megatron died too. He became Galvatron, but Megatron as Megatron didn't survive either. He became this other thing in the movie anyway.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I think Kevin just likes the one scene
obviously because they brought Optimus Prime back to life. Actually, that's because they ended up bringing Optimus Prime back.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And Galvatron, of course, Megatron got died from his injuries as well. Became Galvatron. And Galvatron has this element of coolness, but Megatron's he's better.
He's cooler.
Dave, so that's one for me. Why don't we'll go around and do one until we run out.
Like a Red Robin type thing. Okay.
Yeah.
What's one of yours, Dave?
Well, I know it's probably a popular one, so that kind of makes me a little hesitant because sometimes I like to look for the not as popular ones that people don't think about. But I'm gonna have to say Darth Vader is still one of my favorites of all time.
For sure.
I don't know, just something about his suit
without doubt.
Yeah, like his suit that he wears is just really sweet. It's awesome, and with that red lightsaber, just the look he has is just, even though it was like from the 70s and 80s, it still looks really awesome. And just his James Earl Jones, like the perfect villain voice. And I just kind of like Darth Vader's story too. I mean, he starts out on the right side, but then he kind of, over the years or whatever, he starts to let the dark side come in, and he becomes much more powerful on the dark side and starts to rebel against, what being the chosen one or whatever. But then at the end he comes full circle and he becomes good again. But I just feel like Darth Vader, like the way he uses the Force at will. He can do whatever he wants to anyone, and um, I don't know. I just think he's a pretty sweet villain. He's one of my favorites, even though he's probably one of everybody's favorites. But of all the Star Wars ones, especially, he's still the best villain, I believe.
I mean,
One of
obviously
my
he's one of everybody's favorites because he's awesome. So
Yeah.
one of my favorite movie scenes ever is in Rogue One where he busts all those dudes up with a
Oh,
lightsaber in the
seriously.
hallway. That's like the coolest Darth Vader moment. I just
You
love
know
it.
what I like about that is it shows like still his classicness, but with modern cinematic, like the lightsaber battle, and like it's
Yeah,
more modern, I guess, because the old lightsaber battles were kind of slow to develop sometimes. Like when he was fighting Obi-Wan Kenobi, like of course I think that one was supposed to be slow, and Obi-Wan lost on purpose. But it still is kind of cool to see the new take on what they can do in the movies now compared to what they used to be able to.
and
Like he
he's
was pushing all those guys out of the way.
I,
Yeah.
and he delivered one of the coolest puns ever when he choked that one dude. He's like, "Try not to choke on your aspirations."
Yes.
That was awesome.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Darth Vader telling dad jokes. I don't know. Though I actually, when you're talking about the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fight from like New Hope, obviously there was I can't remember what the name it is, but if you look on YouTube, there's like a fan made version of that fight where they updated it,
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
to make it like look cooler, and it was pretty well done.
I'd like to
I
see
wish
that.
I
It's
wish I
on
knew the
YouTube.
link, but yeah, it's on YouTube.
See, my thing is, I think when they had Darth Maul, like Phantom Menace, he was a cool villain too, but that lightsaber battle was just too overdone, I think. Like it was just so flips everywhere, double lights, and it looked cool, but you need something in between that and then the old one, I think. Like, I don't know. Because you got to have in the middle of the battle, like the talking between the villain and the hero, and like I don't know. I just feel like there needs to be a happy medium. But it'd be cool to see that video you're talking about. I'll have to check it out.
Darth Vader gives my props too. In the movies, he's kind of but if you watch like the Clone Wars cartoon, Darth Vader actually turns out to be a pretty interesting and pretty cool character as well. But it's Steven's turn, so
All right, one of my favorite villains. I don't have one per se. We talked about Killmonger in the other discussion, so I won't bring him up, but though he is up there. Um, I'm gonna go for Kilgrave from Jessica Jones. He
yeah,
is
he's a good one too.
he is the most unsettling villain. Like he's not as bad as Thanos because clearly he's not killing half the universe. But I think as far as Marvel villains are concerned, he's the creepiest and just really gets under your skin. And I think he's a well written but bad guy. So Dave, I know you probably haven't watched. I don't know if you've watched Jessica Jones, but this dude,
No, not yet.
he
Probably
can
won't watch it.
he just tells people to do things and they do them. Like he can just like tell them to do that they have to do it, which just makes him really kind of terrifying. Like he's like when one of the episodes. Now, granted, I've only seen the first season, but he tells these people if she's not back in an hour, then you have to peel each other's skin off, and like they have to do it. Like they can't resist it at all.
So how does Jessica Jones even fight against him, or
So
does she not?
she
Is
is
she?
by the end of the first season, she's the only person that's able to resist it. So like, but that's the whole thing, though. It's like she has some PTSD because he did some very
Yeah.
bad things
So
to her.
how is she able to resist it if no one else can? Like she doesn't have any
Uh,
powers, does she?
she's super
No, she
strong,
does have
but
powers. Yeah, she's
Oh,
super.
she
She has
does.
super
Okay.
strength.
I thought she was just like a Captain America, like Iron Man, someone who didn't really have superpowers. I guess Captain America kind of has superpowers.
she's strong. She's like super strong, but that doesn't really
Okay.
explain how she resists the powers. I don't remember, to be
Yeah,
honest. I haven't watched it in a
yeah,
while, but
it's kind of hard to explain. The first season and the second season, I got about halfway through third season, never finished it because I'll be honest, Jessica Jones isn't the greatest show, but the first season is awesome because of
yeah,
Kilgrave.
yeah, Kilgrave's really, and it's cool because he's one of the doctors from Doctor Who, David Tennant, very good actor, and it's like a different kind of very creepy character for him. He does a good job. I really enjoyed watching that character.
Cool.
So Killmonger, Kilgrave. Let me see if I can find another kill something. Just kidding. All right, Kevin, go around next round.
I got another one when it's my turn.
All
I
right.
just thought of.
Okay, I'll make this one kind of quick, but and we actually talked about this villain before in our earlier episode. Hans Gruber is
yeah.
one of the coolest villains in my opinion. Like he was just as much of a star of that movie as John McClane was, just because he's so like
He's suave, man.
he's classy. Yeah, he's suave. He's classy. He's clean. Actually, pretty much any villain is played by I can't remember what's his name. Who played him?
Alan
Very
Rickman.
old.
I don't know. He played
Alan
Snape in Harry.
Rickman,
Yeah,
In Robin
You
Hood, I
know,
remember him saying, "Why would you dig out his heart with a spoon?" And he's like, "Because it would hurt more." That's the only line
and
I really
actually,
remember about that movie.
Hans Gruber was actually his like first film. He was like a stage actor before that, but that was his first like actual film. So
There's a YouTube
that's
video.
kind
You
of
should
cool.
look it up. It's like 5 minutes long, but it's a video of Alan Rickman knocking over a glass of water and like throwing a table over, like throwing a table up, but it's slowed down to like really slow motion. It has this epic music in the background. It ends up being like
I
five
think
minutes long.
I think you sent that to us, or at
It's
least to
super
me
fun.
before. I remember seeing that.
That's cool. All right, Dave, round two. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't know much about this one, and I don't know why I thought about it because I've only seen the movie once. But the villain in Princess and the Frog,
That was what I was
Disney.
gonna say. Good
Oh,
job.
okay. I didn't mean to. So you could
No,
talk more
no,
about
no,
him,
no.
but
Oh,
I
I don't
just
know.
Doctor,
just
what's his name?
he
I
had
can't think
that
of his name.
voodoo powers that he did. I thought he was pretty
The
sweet.
Shadow
Yeah,
Man.
he is
Yeah,
cool. The
Shadow
Shadow Man.
Man. So I'll let Steven talk about him
No, no,
because I don't
that's
know a
cool.
lot about him. I don't know why he just came to my head. I think he's pretty cool. And then I don't know. There's a lot of villains that I'm trying to think.
I think Prince and the Frog is one of the most underrated Disney movies, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I agree.
Especially the music. The
And
music is fantastic in that movie.
the music is good, but I love jazz, so that's one thing I like about the music. And I do like in Hercules, I think Hades is pretty cool for a little while. I mean, I know he's not quite as cool as the guy from Princess and the Frog, but I like how his hair is fire. But I don't know. I like Steven said you can talk about that one if you want. I can't
Well,
really.
I didn't have details. I was just going to mention
Okay,
them. What's
I was
really
gonna say
funny
he's
though,
cool looking.
my second one after Doctor Facilier or Shadow Man was going to be Hades. So
Oh, really?
you and I are on the same wavelength, man. It's
Hey,
just
hey, if we're talking about Disney villains, I like Scar as well. Scar is pretty
I
cool.
was just thinking about Scar, but then yeah, Scar's cool. He is pretty savage, man. He kills his brother. He's a good villain too.
yeah.
And one
Those
thing, like even the hyenas, he does. I mean, he does get what he deserves at the end of the movie, for sure. But he even turns on his hyenas at one. Like he's just a really
he's just
bad dude.
foul. He's just
Yeah.
a foul dude.
Um,
Those
and he
are
likes to hear the Zazu sing. I have a lovely bunch of coconuts to him too. So that's always good.
I forgot about that.
But
They didn't do that in the live action one. I wasn't that impressed with that
no,
movie. It was okay, but it wasn't
I,
my
well,
I
not.
favorite.
didn't
I
even
like
bother.
the Broadway version I saw, or
Oh, that would be cool.
the theater version I saw at Playhouse Square. That was very good. But I wasn't a big fan of the live action movie.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think. All right, Stephen, go one more.
Ooh,
I'll think of one more that I can talk a little more about. But you can
man.
go ahead.
So you took some good ones from me. So
Sorry.
it's okay. Another villain I get really excited about when I watch it is I liked Wilson Fisk in the Daredevil show as well. I think he's very interesting, and
Still haven't seen that one.
he
Oh, you gotta watch that.
he's very cool. I mean, the Kingpin. If you're from the old cartoon and stuff, I don't know much about Kingpin. My only experience is from the Daredevil show, but
What
he's
about the he's in Into the Spider-Verse, the cartoon, right? Isn't he?
oh yeah, he is. He's
Yeah,
the big
yeah, he
yeah, he
is.
is.
He's good in that one, I think.
But I like him because I don't know. At least in the Daredevil show, he's another one of those villains. He's clearly a bad dude. Like there's no way around it. But then you learn some of his history, and like he came from an abusive household that was poor, and he rose to the top in this like gangster empire, and like you sort of can um sympathize with why he's so mad at the world. Like it's not he shouldn't be doing what he's doing, obviously, but I like when part of you sort of rooting for the bad guy. I think that's a well written character, and I
Yeah.
like him a lot.
To me, the best villains are either A, one that you kind of want to win or root for, be it because they're actually heroes or just because they're cool villains, or B, the kind of villains that are so terrible that you absolutely want to see them get destroyed.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So,
For next one, because you guys know I'm a huge GI Joe fan, so I gotta go. I gotta mention it. Cobra Commander.
oh yeah, for sure.
Cobra Commander is cool. And
He's
he's kind of
crazy.
interesting too. So like in the comics and stuff, like the way he raises the power and stuff, and where he, like his reasoning behind becoming the way he is kind of interesting. And he's a mangled maniac. That dude is whacked out. Like Cobra Commander is awesome.
You mingled maniac. You made me think of my next one, so I'm good to go
Go ahead,
for the
Steve.
next
You can go, Steve.
one. A lot of people are gonna say this one, and he's kind of cliche, but No one can dispute that he's a great villain. The Joker. Which iteration doesn't
I knew
matter.
you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Jack Nicholson, Heath
He is
Ledger,
good.
any of them, like the cartoon one. He's just
Have
crazy
you seen
maniac.
Have you seen the new Joker movie? I haven't seen it, but
I
I
have
haven't
I'm
seen
not.
it either.
curious about
I heard
that.
it's very good, but it puts you
I
in a
know
very
it's
dark.
rated. I know it's rated R.
I've heard it puts you in a pretty dark place though. Like it's a pretty dark movie, but I think the Joker's so interesting, and he's like, I don't know. I think he's one of the biggest villains of our generation, of like the modern, era or whatever. Like he's so creepy and spooky and like terrifying. Like I wouldn't want to run into him ever. Like he's just nuts, and I think he's very interesting. And there's a lot
in
of
the show
layers.
in the show
Dude,
Gotham, he was pretty
dude,
interesting
a
too.
Joker Core Commander team up would be awesome.
Oh, dude, the world would just explode. But
I don't. It would never happen, but that'd be cool.
That would be interesting.
I mean, I like all the different versions of the Joker I've seen. I haven't seen Suicide Squad. I heard that one wasn't as good, but like, I mean, in the old one from 1989, when he's like, "Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?" He's just like, it gets me. And then the one Heath Ledger does is good too. Like I like the Joker a lot. I have this T-shirt of his face, and he's like has this big crazy Joker smile, and Stephanie doesn't like when I wear
You
it.
should
It's
check
kind
out
of a
you
creepy
should
shirt.
you should check out some of the old Adam West Batmans.
Oh
That
yeah,
Joker's probably I don't remember
Yeah,
what that
no,
Joker's like.
the best Joker is Mark Hamill by far, in my
oh
opinion.
yeah, that's the cartoon one for sure.
Oh, the cartoon, yes.
Yeah, he did an old '90s cartoon, and then he stopped for a little while, and then he came back. Few years ago, they made a movie of The Killing Joke, which is the Joker's origin story, and he did the voice for that. And the guy that did Batman's voice in the old cartoon came back to do it as well. And it's really fun. And if you really, this is kind of, I don't want to get, I'm not going to avoid political stuff here, but there's a video of Mark Hamill reading one of Donald Trump's tweets in the Joker's voice, and it's hysterical.
Yeah, that is. I've seen it. It's pretty good.
Think
Well,
of any
let
right
me
now.
ask you guys something. Let's go into the video game world.
Yeah.
Do either of you agree with me that Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII?
He's
Yeah,
overrated,
overrated.
or oh,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think he's so big and bad and whatever. He's like got the long, cool sword, the big black coat, but like, yeah, he's not my favorite villain in the Final Fantasy series. But if you want a really crazy good villain in a Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy VI, a character named Kefka, he's right up there with the Joker and Cobra Commander. He's just crazy. So he's a good one.
So, so speaking of Sephiroth's sword, there's this YouTuber I watch sometimes. He does all this stuff with medieval weapons. So he like recreates like a Sephiroth sword to show
Oh.
how completely ineffective that sword would actually be.
That's funny.
I don't really like Sephiroth that much.
Yeah, he's not my favorite. But Bowser is a great video game villain. I love Bowser.
Bowser's good.
Bowser's
Yes.
cool.
He's unstoppable. He keeps coming back, man. You can't get rid of that guy.
No, you know who I like is Calamity Ganon.
One of the Zelda video games.
Yeah, from the newest one, Breath of the Wild.
Like he doesn't
Okay.
really do or say anything. Like
Yeah.
the concept of Calamity Ganon, I think, is interesting. I was just like, this, evilness that's been around for the past 100 years. Because he took over Hyrule and all stuff like that. It's kind of cool, even though he doesn't really say or do anything.
Yeah.
Can you guys think of any villains that just were very stupid? Like I know a lot of James Bond villains are like they have to talk to James Bond and make him see how they're going to destroy the city or whatever, the world or whatever before they kill him, and then he always gets out of it and he takes care of them. So instead of just blasting him and taking care of him, like and being done with it, they have to give their whole plot and scheme to him, and then that's what ends up killing
As
him.
much as it pains me to say this, I think one of the dumbest or stupidest villains, and well, maybe not one of the stupidest, but definitely on a list of stupid villains, is from the cartoon only, Cobra Commander.
He
He's
is pretty
not too
dumb.
bright. He's pretty dumb.
Didn't he put his face on the moon one time though?
I mean, yeah, that's the only time he's ever beat G.I. Joe is when he put his face on the moon. That's a hard cartoon to watch. I loved it as a kid, but as an adult, I'm like,
Yeah, it's not as well written as I remember. I think it's just because we had all the figures. We'd like to watch it when we were kids.
But like Transformers, I'll still watch the old Transformers and still absolutely love it because Megatron's so awesome. But
Don't you think Destro in the cartoon, Destro was had a little more with it than Cobra Commander?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
in general, Destro's a little more with it. Even in comic books, he's more for Destro in the comic books. It's all business. He's not like, he's making money. It's all about business. He doesn't really play into. In fact, there's a whole thing in the comic books where Destro and Cobra Commander are constantly at odds with each other because he doesn't really play in the whole covert scheme so much, as he's just trying to make money.
But yeah, I mean, James Bond, at least the old Bond movies, maybe not so much the Daniel Craig ones, but every one of the James Bond villains was kind of like that. And like they even made fun of it in Austin Powers with Dr. Evil. 'Cause Dr. Evil was like that too. So and it seems like a lot of villains, not just James Bond, but like that's how they make the good guys win, is the villains just lose track of their goal and they get big headed, I guess, and they want to show off
Yeah.
what they're doing and what their plans are to their rival, and then eventually it just, you know.
One of my favorite lines from James Bond movies from Goldfinger, when he's all like, "Do you expect me to talk?" And Goldfinger's like, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die."
It's good stuff right there. They always were
just blast him, man. Just shoot him. But yeah, that is a good line.
One interesting villain. He's kind of ridiculous. Do you remember The Fifth Element, the character Zorg, played by Gary Oldman?
Yeah.
So
he had a blue face.
Gary Oldman
right?
plays a lot of ridiculous villains.
But actually, I put a pin in that. I want to come back to one. But that character, one interesting movie about The Fifth Element is the hero from that story and the villain from that story actually never meet in the entire movie, which is kind of weird. But
That's kind of weird.
So anyway, but speaking of Gary Oldman, he plays a villain in a great movie called The Professional. Have you seen that movie? Oh man, it's like old school.
Dude, yeah. Leon the Professional. I love that movie.
He's crazy character. He's up there with like the nutty guys. That's a great film, and I enjoy it a lot. And it was a pretty good discussion about villains. I enjoyed this. I think one interesting villain, kind of going along the lines of Darth Vader, is just the Empire in general. Whether it's like the coolest villain, the most diabolical villain, or the dumbest villain, you can make an argument that the Empire has made all of those categories.
This could be a future discussion.
That's kind of what I was leading into. I thought that maybe next time we get it together, we could maybe talk about the Empire a little bit.
So are we doing a Star Wars episode next time? Because I'm excited about that.
We should do a whole series on Star Wars. But Steven's right. Like from the savageness of like the Sith Lords, Darth Vader, Palpatine, all the way to the stupidness of the stormtroopers, how they can't. The only good stormtrooper ever actually, left the Empire, and I don't even think he's that great, but the only one that had skills is Finn, really, and I guess Captain Phasma. But other than that, there's no good stormtroopers at all ever in any of the shows. So it kind of has a wide spectrum. But yeah, we should get into that.
I think it'd be good.
But I got to get out of here.
It's no problem. Thanks for joining us in the Brothers Born podcast this week. Hope you enjoyed it.
I sent you the Shanty video, so you need to take a look at it.
Perfect. Let me know what you think of WandaVision when you get a chance to watch it.
I will, for sure.
All right, dudes. Take it easy. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to episode 2 of season 2 of the Brothers Born podcast. We're just trucking right along in this new year, and we're excited to release this episode today, and you got another one coming down soon. I'm releasing this episode during Super Bowl 55 of the year 2021, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And let me tell you, it's going to be a great game. But you know what's greater than that game? Listening to the Brothers Born podcast. I'm just kidding. I know the reality is you won't be listening to this until after the game is over. And that's fine. Frankly, I'd probably do the same. But either way, hope you enjoyed the episode. No episode art this week, but I do want to just remind you can email us at brothersbornpodcast@gmail.com or check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/brothersbornpodcast. Share the show with your friends and coworkers and whoever. Thanks, y'all.